getting on the bed to talk about some things with you. Welcome to my crib, which is how I feel today. I'm like a big baby today. Kind of. I'm the mom and the baby. I'm the mother and the child. I'm the alpha and the omega. You gotta make jokes. You gotta be amused. That's one thing I've learned from doing psychic work, working energy, is you gotta have your amusement running. You gotta have some sense of silly playfulness, not seriousness, so that you can ground into what you want to be serious about. This is what you're getting today. Okay, we're focusing, Sam. So how does it feel that I have this room? That's why I've come and sat you down here with me. I want to tell you how it feels. I feel so grateful that I have this. It began as my office space, then I thought I was going to bring clients, and now it's become a bedroom. I blew up the air mattress that we have that I normally only reserve for guests, and now I have an option to sleep here or sleep with Corey in our bedroom, and I can work, I can film, I can teach from here. Like, I have this bed, and then I have this station over here behind me where I put my laptop on the shelf, and then I can sit and take my classes. I can teach. I can have client sessions from here. I can sit in this chair. I can do classes also from there, and I can also meditate in this chair, which is usually what I do when I sit in that chair. And everything that I need is here. It's like my own little studio apartment, except for when I leave this room, my family's still here. Cora has her own room. Corey sleeps in this room. My closet's still in there. And I have my kitchen, and I go out, and I'm a mom. And that brings me to one of the points that I wrote down here that I wanted to share. That as a mom, and I will advocate for this forever, at whatever stage that you are as a mom, you need something of your own. I don't care what kind of mom you are. I don't care if you want to be with your kids all the time. I don't even know if I know anybody who wants to be with their kids all the time, but everybody needs a space of their own. We're not just who we are to each other. We fulfill roles for each other, but we are also individuals. And I think we've been taught that when you grow up, when you become an adult, that just has to go away, that your individuality, that what you care about, that what's important to you as an individual has to be put aside forever, or until your kids are old enough and they're out of the house. But I don't think we have to do that forever. I also know that there is a lot of guilt, specifically female guilt, around this, around, taking care of yourself, having something for yourself, choosing yourself, choosing your pleasure. Let's let each other be free to have what we need for ourselves. This is a sanctuary. This is my sanctuary. This is where I feel safe. This is where I feel creative. This is where I feel inspired. This is where I feel held. This is my cave. This room is my cave. And if you're into human design, you might be familiar with the environments of your design. And I have the blending cave environment. And if you don't know your chart, you can book a human design reading with me. I always leave all the links to that in the description. In your chart, you have what's called variables near the top of the headspace. And these variables point to 2 body variables and then 2 mind variables. So with the body variables, those are the arrows on the left. The left arrows are the body arrows. And if they're pointing to the left, it means that you're more specific and consistent in the body. And if they're pointing to the right, it means that your variables are inconsistent. And so my variables, the digestion variable, the top arrow of the left, for digestion is pointing to the left, meaning that my digestion is consistent, meaning that I eat my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner at the same time. And sometimes I have the exact same thing for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't want to think about what I want to eat. I don't want to have to think about what time I'm going to eat also. So staying consistent and honoring my digestion's design, I have all of this freed up space in the mind, which the variables are related to. They're related to the mind. That's why they're located up here on the head. My brain is freed up to do other things and figure out what the fuck I'm gonna eat. What time that's gonna happen. And then the bottom arrow, I have the arrow pointing to the right. And so, with the arrow pointing to the right, my environment is more inconsistent, more flowy, if you will, not so specific, but the rest of my arrows are consistent and specific. So I have most of my arrows being consistent and specific, and then I have only one, which is my environment, which is non-specific and inconsistent. And none of these things are good or bad. I would invite you to check in with yourself on what it feels like in your system, or what thoughts come up, what patterns or what programmings come up when I say the words consistent, inconsistent, specific, and non-specific. All of it's good, all of it's on the table, and all of it is possible and right and true. It just depends on your design and who you are, what works best for you. And so my environment pointing to the right, being inconsistent, it's called the blended cave environment. My cave space is about being able to change environments, but finding like the literal corners of the room. Like if you look at this room, I made corners everywhere. There's a corner here, there's a corner. I literally made a corner right here behind me where I can like tuck myself in, like have my back against the wall or in a corner, and that's like the cave like quality to my environment. I want to be at the back so I can see everything going on. If I have like people behind me and I don't know what's going on, and there's a lot of reasons for this in terms of like trauma and past experiences of like betrayal and all that stuff, but it's also in my design, which is really cool to me, that I don't have to be like, I have to heal this in order for me to feel safe with people standing behind me. It's like, well, actually, you're just designed to feel the most like you when everyone and everything that's going on in the room is in front of you. That's what's important to me, is honoring myself, my authenticity, what's natural for me. And that hasn't always been the case, because when I was expelled, if you don't know my story, I was excommunicated from the Christian church in 2018 when I had my daughter out of wedlock, who's now 6 years old, turning 7 this year. I believe that video is called My Honest Unplanned Pregnancy Story. It was when I was vlogging during the pandemic. So if you want to go watch that, I'll leave like a card or something up here for you to click on and watch. When I was in that period of my life, I really wanted to get the healing right. I was so kind of cutthroat about healing as fast as possible, I guess. And my ego loved it because I can go there. Because that is my nature, I had to swing to both sides of the pendulum throughout these past 6 years. And now, in present time, I feel a desire to protect the innocence in myself, to protect the child in me, and not need to put her through the hard, emotional, deep, dark stuff all the time, but to say, this is who you are, sweetie. This is what you need to feel safe. You have all of these systems and modalities to lean on in order to have understanding. Why don't you just give it to yourself? And I found that when I give it to myself, when I give myself what I need, when I listen to the internal mother to my younger innocent self, that I can do things like this, like show up on YouTube. I can do things like put myself out there and ask to be paid to share my intuitive gifts. that when I create safety and use the tools that I have to do that in a way that honors who I am, I can create beautiful things. I can say powerful things. So I have this room and I love this room. And I hope that listening to this brought you some clarity and understanding about how to work with your own design, how to read your own variables in human design, and then also allowed you to reflect on how you can cultivate and create a sanctuary for yourself. It doesn't have to be a whole entire bedroom if that's not what you have access to right now. It can be a closet. It can be a corner in your closet. It can be a chair and you put up a curtain. It can be a shelf where you close the door at a specific time and you say, no one can bother me, please, because I'm here at my sanctuary shelf. Maybe you have an altar on that shelf and it's just for you. Maybe you block off time and that's the container. The feminine needs that safe container of time, of structure, of presence in order for that part of the self that we all have to come alive. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you next time. Talk to you soon. Mwah.